Hey campers, it's Jen. Due to an unexpected family emergency this week, we were not able to finish recording our blind read of David Grann's The White Darkness. Don't worry, that will still be dropping in the next few days, but for this week we decided to re-release a story that we realized we never actually finished. Back in episode 100, we began covering the 2021 murder of 41-year-old Christina Parcell in Greer, South Carolina. The bizarre circumstances surrounding this case were what initially grabbed our attention, like the presence of rose petals scattered all around the crime scene and the killer being a literal piano prodigy. Remember that one? I actually cannot believe we never finished it. So over the next 2 weeks, we're going to revisit the rose petal murder. And by we, I mean me too, because I am currently deep in the trenches of writing its conclusion. Thanks for bearing with us while we catch our bearings this week. We love you guys. Enjoy.
Well, welcome back, campers.
That was your host, Caitlin.
And that was your host, Genevieve.
I feel really weird because I'm looking at you. I can see my face out of my peripheral because we're filming ourselves and the script. So I feel a little
myself.
Yeah, I try not to look at myself. I feel a little disorientated, but it's all a good thing. Oh, low battery. Okay.
Oh, Lord. While you were gone, did I look up Korean face tape to lift my chin?
Shut up. I
did.
Good reviews?
No.
Oh, okay.
I think I would have to actually buy from a Korean website, and I've done it for some skincare, but Amazon,
you need to buy from a real Korean, not from a fake website.
Do the Koreans not have stunning skin?
They do.
They do.
I absolutely will not take that back. Anywho, boy, do we have a doozy of a story.
Yes.
So here we go. On a sunny day in October 2019, a 7-year-old girl whose name we are choosing not to say for her protection, but who is very important in this story, so we're going to call her Emmy, walked alongside her father, John Mello, the two of them taking in the sights and sounds of downtown Greenville, South Carolina. Go Gamecocks. I'm sorry, it had to be said. Anywho, for the real ones who remain, on this particular day, Emmy and John were drawn over to where a tall young man was sitting alone at a keyboard, playing classical piano music. Solo musicians playing out in the open is pretty common in downtown Greenville, but this man was so good that Emmy and John stayed to listen to his entire performance. When he finished the song, John complimented the man on how beautifully he played. Emmy asked him if he could play Clair de Lune, the one song that is forever and always synonymous with the greatest toxic love story of our generation, Twilight.
What song is it? Is it
It's the one that when Bella's walking around in Edward's room. If you heard it,
okay,
then you'd be like, oh yeah, I know which one it is. And the man was like, yeah, I can play it. He smiled and nodded warmly, then placed his hands back on the keyboard, and Clair de Lune flowed out purely from his memory. We'll never know how the next few years of Emmy's life would have unfolded had she and her father just walked past the man and his keyboard. But this is a podcast about horrible crimes, so you can probably guess it's not good. And you would be right. But we promise you, campers, that when we first saw rumblings on the internet about what this case has been universally named, which is the rose petal murder, we thought it was going to be super cut and dry. Boy, were we wrong. This case is a dense and terrifying web, woven by manipulation, deception, exploitation, Russian orphans, a Juilliard prodigy. Caitlin's just shaking her head. I don't have to describe you shaking your head because it's on video.
It is.
When I read Russian orphans, even though I wrote it, I was like, oh my God, I forgot even about that part. Childhood trauma, an obsession, and if, dear camper, you choose to believe the killer in our story, a rescue, it's a story you may not be able to walk away from without feeling like your insides have been turned inside out. Caitlin, I swear through the research for this case, there were so many twists. I just kept catching myself like hunched over my computer with my mouth hanging open in shock like a goblin. Yeah.
I've read articles from this. I know like the full gist of it.
Yeah.
But I was like, no. I'll sit out like diving more into it because Genevieve will leave me with my own jaw on the floor.
Yes, I apologize in advance. Cling to that mental image of me hunched over my computer like a goblin for comic relief because you're probably going to need it. Without further ado, it's time for part 1 of our two-parter, South Carolina's Rose Petal Murder. Lights out, campers.
Oh man, the mountains call my number one. I'm just a life-size lottery ticket in the hand of the one.
On the morning of October 13th, 2021, a Ring doorbell camera from the upscale Canebrake neighborhood in Greer, South Carolina was activated when a white SUV drove past its house. Entirely by chance, it also captured a killer quite literally on their way to do a murder. In the few seconds of footage, a tall and slender male figure with a bunch of roses in his hands can be seen walking up the porch steps of a blue ranch-style house directly across the street from the camera, before it shut back off. Just 12 minutes later, another Ring doorbell in the neighborhood was activated when a tall, slender male figure rode past on a bicycle in the direction of the neighborhood's exit, dressed head to toe in a black hoodie, black gloves, sweatpants, shoes, and an N95 mask. That blue house belonged to a 43-year-old woman, Christina Parcell, and just she lived there with her 41-year-old sister, Christina Parcell, and Christina's 9-year-old daughter, Emmy, the very same Emmy we just met at the very beginning. Christina also had a fiancé. I'm so sorry. Channel that back in.
The judgment being the 65-year-old man. I mean, there are age gap romances. But...
Absolutely. And I mean, I've read a plenty. But I don't know.
Yeah.
So sorry.
It's because we've seen a picture of this guy. That's why.
There's far worse to this, so my apology. Christina also had a fiancé, a 65-year-old man named Bradley Post. But Bradley was not the man who knocked on the door with a fistful of roses. Fiancé Bradley did pull into the driveway of the blue house just a few minutes later, extremely concerned and hoping to speak with Christina. You see, he knew she'd been at a job interview that morning and she should have already gotten home. One of Christina's things was that she always, without fail, told Bradley when she'd made it to her destination safe, but this time she hadn't. When he texted and called her several times but got no answer, Bradley drove over to the blue house. Christina's car was in the driveway, but there was no answer to Bradley's knock on the door. He knew the sisters always kept the back door unlocked, so he headed around and let himself inside the house. A few moments later, a call was placed to Greenville County 911. There had indeed been a death. 41-year-old Christina Parcell was pronounced dead at the scene. She had been stabbed 35 times, with 19 of the stab wounds concentrated around her head and neck. Blood was splattered and smeared all around the house in what appeared to be a vicious struggle. Christina's fingernails were bloody and broken. She had fought like hell with her attacker. Bloody drag marks across the house ended where Christina's body was found laying on the sofa. The first officer to arrive on the scene encountered Christina's fiancé Bradley Post out on the lawn. He was leaving an urgent voicemail to Christina's sister, Tina, saying, "You've got to come home right now. Emergency, emergency. Just come home." Tina was at her office job about 20 minutes away, and when she eventually saw the voicemail around 11 a.m., she leapt into her car in a panic and raced home.
Just real quick. I feel like this happens a lot in these stories, which I would do the same thing, but you get terrible news and you're just like, I have to get there right away.
Yeah.
We probably shouldn't be jumping into our, like, death machines in a state of panic and hurtling into traffic. I don't know.
Yeah.
I know
mean,
sometimes you don't have an option, but
Yeah, you're not just going to sit there, but you definitely are going to be breaking all laws.
yeah.
I mean, because if somebody called me saying, like, emergency,
yeah.
like a damn trucker on the frickin' breaker 99, I'd be like, Batman, I'm there.
It reminds me of a time in college where
Mhm.
I was walking back to the dorms with a friend, and it was just like a normal Sunday afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
She got a call that her sister's boyfriend and a group of his friends had been on the interstate,
Uh-huh.
and they had no idea what happened, but the SUV they were in somehow careened off the road and exploded against a tree, and they were all just vaporized in a fireball. And
Oh
the
my
person, it was,
gosh.
I don't know who called her and told her this,
Mm-hmm.
but the way that she went from 0 to
Oh.
just trauma, hysteria, panic, and then was like, I've got to go, I've got to get there. And it was going to be like a 2-hour drive for her. And I remember then I started panicking, begging her not to get behind the wheel because she
Yeah.
had a big SUV herself. And I was like, please do not let me call one of your friends to drive you. Like, you cannot go. And I couldn't drive her myself because that was when I was like in the depths of soccer hell and would have been thrown off the team if I missed a game. But like, yeah, that was one of the scariest things I've ever seen. So tragic, but
I mean, a little bit of comic relief is the best comparison I have to that is me peeing upstairs and my mom opening the door and being like, Katie, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry. He didn't mean to. And I thought like immediately I was like, oh my God, my dad accidentally, like, she's like, he ran her over. And I was like, pause, the next door neighbor's dog died. I was like, no. And she's like,
oh
Maggie,
no.
like, and I mean, I got up, pulled my
Oh,
pants up, biggest crime I committed, not wiping. All I did was pee though. But I mean, I was downstairs. Like, I mean, like, I don't
Oh,
remember the downstairs
you
flight. I
grew
don't remember anything.
wings.
And I just picked her up. So, like, had that been anything else?
bitch, did you just say that was going to be comic relief?
Yeah, because I didn't wipe.
Oh my God.
I mean, that was a very traumatizing moment.
Yeah, this podcast has gotten dark if we're talking about pet deaths as comic relief. All right.
But yeah, to call somebody and say, like, emergency, and then they just get in the car, like, I mean, what do
Yeah.
you do? There's no rule book for that, I guess.
Yeah. So, upon his arrival at the Blue House, Master Deputy Chris Robinson was in no way prepared for the scene waiting for him. Greer, South Carolina is a very safe city with one of the highest solved homicide rates in the country, in part because there's just not a lot of murders. Officer Chris scribbled on his notepad while fiancé Bradley told him that the last time he'd spoken with Christina was earlier that morning just before she'd left for a job interview. He said from 9 a.m. onwards he'd called and texted her twice, and that he knew this because he had her on a, quote, tracker. I don't think he actually had her on a tracker. This guy's like 65 years old, not
okay.
getting necessarily iPhone technology. So I think he just
No.
means they had like Google location share, or he was
Okay.
reading like the message
Bad
receipts. Yeah.
lingo. Okay.
But also, it's a little red flaggy that he's just coming over there when he doesn't hear from her for a few minutes.
That is
So,
true.
I don't know. It's just a little bit odd, and the officer probably thought that too.
I will be devil's advocate yet again.
Mm-hmm.
And that would be my anxiety reaction is because, like, if Jacob is not where he's supposed to be on time,
Yeah.
I look up his location, like,
Yeah.
okay, he's on the interstate home. Like, and it's moving. He didn't crash. He's not stationary.
That's a very good point. And also, she was characterized by being the person who did that. So
Yeah.
I can understand why you would be worried.
What's like a mix between red and green?
That's just like brown, right?
Is it just,
Brown
I don't
and
know.
green
I'm waving a
together.
brown flag.
A shit flag.
Yeah.
Because that's what
I
this
could
case
just be
is.
waving a yellow flag, like caution.
Oh, there you go.
You know?
I feel like that's good. Now, when Officer Chris did his walkthrough of the house, right away he noticed a very powerful chemical smell. It was so strong that once he saw there were no signs of life from Christina and the rest of the house was clear, he did not linger inside. He's probably like, I do not want to get poisoned or this house blow up. back on the lawn, being police, kept talking a lot to fiancé Bradley. They know now that there's been a deadly stabbing with rose petals scattered all around the victim's home. And Bradley was conveniently the first one on the scene of his own fiancé's murder. We also know from doing all of these horrible cases that stabbing can, not always, but can be a sexually motivated act of violence, and it's very often the romantic partner who does the stabbing. So let's do a quick rundown of fiancé Bradley Post. In October 2021, Bradley was 65 years old and a retired engineer and multiple business owner. At the time, he and Christina had been dating for around 6 years. Bradley was a retired multimillionaire with a huge house and a couple of fancy sports cars. Christina's sister, Tina, did not hesitate when 2020 later asked her to describe Bradley, and the word she said was pompous. She said Bradley loved making sure everyone knew he was the smartest and richest person in whichever room he was in. She also said that sometimes it seemed like Christina was happy being with Bradley, but that lately, in recent months, Tina felt like her sister had become far less enamored with the idea of actually becoming his wife. Probably because he was doing shit like showing up at her house, to check up on her.
Yeah. I'm back to the red flag.
Yeah, I don't know. And also there had to be other stuff going on. I've seen pictures of his house in the documentary. Looks like a dang mansion. It's got like a, one of those long gravel driveways, a gates. It looks like straight up out of the Righteous Gemstones. And I mean, the little blue house, it's just a cute little small ranch house. It's nothing fancy at all. So
it's giving Bear in the Big Blue House.
Yeah.
If you know what that is.
Yes. Oh, that was a throwback. Now, just from looking at fiancé Bradley on the cops' body cam footage from the day of the murder, it's clear he's a man all about his tailored suits, his straight razor shaves, and flashy sports cars. There's nothing really wrong with any of these other than indicating a personality that Caitlin and I personally would not vibe with, but it was initial indicator to police right off the bat that they were like, he likely isn't our guy.
Yeah.
And I thought this was very interesting because many a time people can commit a horrible crime and then they shower and whatever. But the time frame between when she left for her interview, when they spoke, when he showed up at the house, the body was found, he called and they got there. It was so short that the cop was like, he was so fucking pristine looking, like not a hair out of place, clearly just had a super close shave, crisp white shirt, polished like head to toe, very cool, calm, and put together. Like he either would have had to been full Dexter, which, maybe people do, but he's like, just logically looking at him, the amount of time it would have taken him to make himself that put together and presentable would have taken much longer.
Also the lack of any wounds on him.
Exactly. Yes.
Like if she fought back and with stabbing 35 times, you're bound to slip and get cut yourself.
Absolutely. That takes a lot of energy, and that's a very good point about the fingernails, that he would have been scratched up very significantly.
Report back to episode 1 of Camping is Cancelled. What was that called? The Latchkey Murder?
Episode
was Jennifer
1?
Levin.
Oh, Jennifer Levin, yes.
Yeah, and how he was all marked up.
Oh, and said
but
he was
my
throwing
cat
his...
scratched me. I threw my cat up in the air.
God, and he's such a dumbass. He probably would have thrown his cat up in the air, but that is not where those came from. But yes, that is a very good point. There was nary a cat scratch or a human scratch on fiancé Bradley. So police were like, I mean, you're a little annoying, but you probably did it.
But you're not a murderer just because you're annoying, so...
Exactly. He did do this other thing that struck police as weird, which was after they cleared the house and removed Christina's body, police actually did a walkthrough of the house with Bradley and Tina to, I think, observe their reaction and also to get their eye, because Tina lived there. Bradley was regularly in the house to see if they noticed anything out of place or anything that had been brought into the home that wasn't already there. But Bradley asked for a pair of gloves and put them on before going in the house.
You know what? I rolled my eyes, but immediately I'm back because it's like, you fuckers aren't going to get any unnecessary fingerprints.
You know what? Honestly, though, but it's also because Tina didn't like him to begin with when she's being interviewed about this. And the interviewer's like, did that strike you as odd that he did that? She actually goes, you know what? No, it didn't, because he was a very persnickety, particular man. She actually uses the word persnickety, and she was like, and he probably just didn't want to touch anything that he considered icky or dirty or implicate himself in any way, like what you and I are saying. So, I mean, it's not that far out of the realm of reason. And at this point, Bradley is also starting to pick up that police are really, really honing in on him because he's not dumb. And so he says, if this is what I think it is, I'm going to wait until I consult my lawyer before I speak in person with you guys any further. And you hear the cop on body cam footage be like, oh, sir, I completely understand. Like, good for you. Again, same Bradley. Always, always, always lawyer up. If you are a killer, if you're innocent, just never say anything unless you have a lawyer. Now, according to Tina Parcell, this morning where her sister was murdered was exceedingly boringly normal. The sisters had chatted while they drank coffee and they got ready for their day. Christina told Tina that after her job interview, she was going to go to a hair appointment and then would be taking Emmy to her gymnastics classes. There was nothing about her that seemed like on edge or anxious. It was just a normal, boring weekday. The sisters told each other, love you, and parted ways, and that was the last time Tina ever saw her sister alive.
Now, as odd and sus as fiancé Bradley was, and as much as he and Tina disliked one another, there was one thing they surprisingly agreed 100% on. Bradley Post wasn't the one police should be looking at for Christina's murder. But first, let's talk about Christina Parcell. In 2021, Christina had been working for a while as a veterinarian technician for a local clinic. For the last 5 months, she'd been living with her 9-year-old daughter, who we've been calling Emmy, along with her sister Tina, at Tina's house in the Cane Brake subdivision in Greer, South Carolina. A very nice, safe, and upscale neighborhood. Tina said Christina had aspirations of becoming a nurse, and her friends and coworkers knew her to be kind and intelligent, a devoted mother, and a hard worker. One of Christina's coworkers at Foothills Veterinary Hospital said that she, quote, always had an ear and always tried to make you smile, even in the worst situations. Another said she had personality the size of a high-rise, and that all the animals at the clinic adored her. Photos and videos from Christina's life indicated that in her spare time, she loved spending time with Emmy, running 5Ks, and making artisanal chocolates for her friends. In childhood, Christina and Tina... I'm so sorry, sidebar, but who named their children Christina and Tina? I just figured that out.
Tina is short for something, and it's slipping my mind right now. It
doesn't matter, but Tina could be... I don't like that. I'm sorry.
I agree that it's confusing. It's like Lena and Ina.
Rest in peace.
Although some people have pronounced it Ina, that it was Lena and Ina Stillinger, which would make more sense and made me feel really dumb, but whatever.
Interesting, though. I Christina, just, like, my brain Tina. Just...
You would never know.
Combine them together.
Yeah.
So I apologize.
No, you're good.
But in childhood, Christina and Tina had been each other's best friends, even wanting to have joint birthday parties with each other. It seems like it was next to impossible for anyone who knew Christina to believe someone could have wanted her dead. Enter John Mello, the one person that Tina Parcell and fiancé Bradley Post agreed should be on the police's top person of interest.
I need everyone to take this moment, wherever you're at, unless you're driving, and look up a picture of this bitch, and then look up a picture of Joaquin Phoenix as the Joker, and tell me that their faces could not be laid on top of one another and it be almost exactly the same.
I'm like doing it in my mind's eye right now, and I can actually see what you're talking about.
Yeah, especially from the recent 2020 episode, because he's lost a lot of weight and his face is more sallow and sunken, and he's got this nasty, like greasy, wispy gray hair that's almost down to his shoulders, but he just has that sunken-eyed, like gross teeth, the look that Joaquin Phoenix's Joker has, and I don't know why it just bothers me and gives me the creeps so much.
The parallels.
Yeah.
Oh, let's not get ahead of ourselves, Jen.
Let's not.
So, back in 2004, John Mello and Christina Parcell met at a cigar shop when he was 43 and she was 24. So, she had a thing for older men.
She has a thing for the 20-year age gap.
I don't know. Anywho, he, enter red flag, was also married with 2 kids. And according to John, in an interview he did with 2020, since he was married, at first he and Christina just struck up a nice friendship.
Okay, John. Not that men and women can't have friends who are married, but we know this is not where this
we know where it goes, so.
Yeah. We're preeminently judging.
Friends don't stick things in other friends when you're married.
Yeah.
He said he always preferred the company of a woman over men because women were easier to look at.
Yeah. Sir, you have no room to be talking. Joaquin Phoenix's Joker.
And that's not to say Joaquin.
No, I love Joaquin
Chef's
Phoenix.
kiss
He's a
outside of that
wonderful
character.
man. Yeah. No, that I just say Joaquin Phoenix's Joker because there's been 400,000 Jokers, so.
So, hop forward to 2009, John's marriage had gone sour, and that was when he and Christina's friendship turned into a romantic relationship that would last for 6 years. Also, the parallel with 6 years.
Yeah.
Like both relationships.
Odd. Ugh.
While he was still married, in 2010, Christina and John decided they wanted to have a baby together. That baby was our girl, Emmy. According to John, during Christina's pregnancy and the first year of Emmy's life, everything was fantastic and they were extremely happy. But it was also during this time, between April and May of 2010, that Christina sent a letter to her parents and Tina, making it clear in no uncertain terms that she was severing ties with her entire immediate family.
Red flags. That red flag guy on the internet is running his ass off. Circling.
He's on a scooter right now.
He's windmilling the red flag.
The letter said, "Dear Mama and Daddy and Tina, I am severing the ties of discontent and unhappiness that have haunted my life. Leave me to my peace and my newfound life. Please do not visit my home. Do not call or email. And most importantly, please do not worry." Okay. The sisters would not reconnect with one another for over 4 years after this letter. And when they eventually did, Tina told 2020 that the letter had been entirely what John Mello wanted. By the time Emmy was around 3 years old, the once allegedly happy ever after life that John and Christina had was deteriorating, and they began to battle for custody of their daughter. John Mello told 2020 that Christina had become, quote, very combative and untrustworthy, and the custody battle was nasty. Christina's own family attorney went so far as to say that as far as the worst of the worst custody battles she'd handled in her career, theirs was as bad as it gets.
Oh.
And that's shit.
Yeah,
when you
really
have a
is.
kid involved in stuff.
And it's awful too because it's an only child.
Yeah.
And so she doesn't even have a sibling to turn to.
And at 3, we both have 3-year-olds right now. I have my first 3-year-old, and their mood, they're just like a grenade.
Yeah.
That you don't know the.
And more than anything else, I mean, all kids do, but She thrives on her little routine,
Exactly.
her little steps that she likes to do in the day, her one favorite cup, her bowl, her spoon, liking to have certain stuffies beside her and like certain blankets while she watches certain shows.
And I mean, 3 is right now, mine is mimicking everything I do.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Like emotions, actions, words.
Oh my
so
goodness.
I can only imagine.
Sponges and parrots. And there's no way
The environment that Emmy's in.
Yeah. And you know, too, that what was happening, I know that people divorce or go through custody things and it's able to be as like ambivalent and above board and respectful. And that doesn't mean that there isn't some level of trauma to the child, but it sounds like in this situation, it was nothing but bad. And you know that at least on his end, because she would have been with him more, it would have just been like nastiness, ranting, talking shit about the mom, like, or vice versa, whoever had her. I can only imagine it was horrible.
Or
like
using the child as a pawn and
Ugh.
Yeah.
Poor baby.
We're not a divorce podcast, but
no.
If you're going to do it with grace and put your child above yourself.
Literally. That's all you should be thinking about.
Yep.
Ugh. So here's where things start to get weird. In the day and age we live in, it seems like the biological mother of a child is nearly always given more favor in custody battles because they're the mom. But court records from this custody hearing in 2016 show John accusing Christina of, quote, erratic behavior and, quote, a lack of visitation, while she claimed that she was afraid of him because he had, quote, anger management issues. But she also said that she was very afraid she could not provide financially for her daughter and was willing to relinquish custody solely for that reason. So that's really what it came down to in the end. It sounds like John Mello was granted sole custody of Emmy and Christina only had visitation rights. So
that doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense to me. There has to be more there to the story that we're not getting. But there are parts of this case that are extremely detailed and others that are just these kind of like big parts that we know very little about. It's just like, oh, the custody battle was nasty. And then somehow this guy who had a baby with her while he was already married with 2 other kids, which to me indicates like a lack of responsibility
commitment
and reliability that you would think would affect a family court hearing.
But also to give up, like to just have sole visitation rights, not like actual custody because of financial reasons. That doesn't make sense to me because why would child support not be a thing? That's confusing to me how you go from battling to just giving up full custody.
So I don't know. There's definitely a piece or a lot of pieces there that we're not getting, but
this comes into play with like our opinions further down the road.
Yes, that's very true. Now, in the end, John Mello was granted sole custody of Emmy. Christina only had visitations. Now, this was in 2016. So we're still 5 years out from the murder. And in the years that follow, John Mello began to contact the South Carolina Department of Social Services and law enforcement about Christina. So he's already got full custody of Emmy. She has visitation. I don't know how often that would be, but I would guess maybe like a couple days a month or something, or maybe 1 day a week. I'm not really sure how that works. It varies case by case. But John Mello began to claim that Emmy had come to him and said that her mom, Christina Parcell, and her mom's boyfriend, Bradley Post, had made her sleep in their bed with them. Allegedly. So, as John Mello said, he was like, oh, hell no. So John Mello goes and files a complaint with the Greenville County Sheriff's Office, and they said they looked into it, as did DSS, but that there was nothing to substantiate this accusation. And here is the thing, is that in these types of nasty custody battles, because there'd already been this level of extreme volatility between these two parents, and there was a history there. Unfortunately, as I was researching this case and watching some interviews with law enforcement, they said this actually tends to happen a lot, where people will make false claims of sexual abuse, or they will plant that in the child, because that's really like the fucked up golden ticket to get rid of somebody for good, to remove their rights for good, is because that is such a horrible accusation. And if it's true,
But based on the age of the child, her sleeping with her mother, and granted, yes, there's another adult, like her partner, but to me, that's a normal thing for a kid to do, is to climb into bed with their parents. And then, I know it's tricky, but then the dad could be coercing her to twist it into, I was forced to. It's like, oh, I was scared, but I didn't want to disturb them, but mom made me sleep with them. Like, mom wanted me to.
Maybe it's ageist of me, but just the major fucking red flags of this old ass man.
Oh, yeah.
Of then her sleeping in a bed with them, if that's
even
true.
Regardless, as a parent, if like I were divorced and I was the parent, I would be like, fuck no, are you getting into bed with like...
Because statistically, the vast majority of those cases, and I know that I'm right in this, the abuse happens at the hand of a male partner who is not the biological relative of the child. So just that alone, like, I think that that's irresponsible, and that you shouldn't do that, because that it's not like he raised her. You know, it's not like he was raised as her dad. It's a random boyfriend. So
yeah, it's not somebody who was a permanent fixture in her life. And even so, it's still like taboo almost. Yeah, like it's just not, the moral compass is... There's
just something weird about it. And like, do that with your mom when she doesn't have her boyfriend over. And I know every family's different, and I feel like people are going to be judgy and say you just don't understand certain dynamics, but
that's why I said I think it's reasonable for a child that age to be in the bed.
But listen, all it takes though is if your child does come to you and say, I didn't like sleeping in the bed with them, then I'd be like, okay, that's it. Never again. And I'm going to say something, I'm going to get involved, and that's that. So if that's what he genuinely is doing here, then good for him, but we're not done.
Continue.
Okay. So with this, again, alleged accusation that Emmy made to Bradley, he went and filed a complaint with the Greenville County Sheriff's Office, and they said they looked into it, as did DSS, but there was nothing to substantiate it, according to them. But it wasn't just the one time. This man started going to the sheriff's office repeatedly and forcefully saying to anyone who would listen that Christina Parcell, the mother of his child, was involved in prostitution, drug use, and child sex abuse. He went to the county sheriff's office so often that he was well known to everyone there. An officer said that he would just go off the handle and freak out if he felt that he was not being taken seriously, but he would also make these wild accusations that were so far-fetched that they were like, this is just not like possible. And I don't know what exactly some of them were, but if you're a cop who's been doing your job for a really long time and somebody is coming in with a certain type of behaviors, then you can kind of see where they'd be like, that it's a boy who cried wolf kind of a thing, where maybe there was some truth to what he was saying, but then he would be adding all this other stuff
like
onto it.
To it, exaggerating.
Yes, thinking that like if I just keep blowing it bigger and bigger, then they'll have to listen, or if I get angry, then they'll have to do something. That never works. It just makes people not want to listen to you even more. And then in 2017, I wrote down Mello mushroom.
It's just like a pizza place.
Mello mushroom now. It is a pizza place in South Carolina. And maybe I shouldn't, because I love Mello mushroom. John is actually arrested on charges of stalking and harassment. And you have to really be stalking and harassing someone in order to get actually arrested for it.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, I don't know if that was Christina's choice or whatever, those charges were ultimately dismissed. Then, in 2018, Christina was granted expanded visitation rights with Emmy, and Tina got them a 3-bedroom apartment so Christina would have a place for Emmy to do overnight stays. I very much get the sense that Tina is like the caretaker of Christina.
Yeah.
Because she gets this apartment for them, and then she later buys a house so that they can all live together. And I don't know if Christina was involved in helping to pay for it, but both of these places are owned by her.
And that itself is painting
Mm-hmm.
a picture for me
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
where my opinions are stacking up.
Yes. And for 2 years, things are somewhat peaceful. But in October of 2020, the year of Tiger King, all hell hits. On the weekend, Christina was supposed to have Emmy, one of her visitation weekends. She received a typed message from John Mello that simply said, quote, "We are out of the country. Phone not working. Be advised, we won't be able to fly back for Friday exchange." I guess that means he's supposed to give her.
Mhm.
Okay. This sounds like a damn telegram.
No.
We are out of the country. Stop. Phone not working. Stop.
Sounds like a drug deal, which I swear,
Ah.
again, not a divorce podcast,
Mhm.
but your children are not drugs. Don't do trades in a parking lot. They're not drugs.
That's so true. Then he ends it by saying, "Sorry, more later." That same day,
Ugh.
Christina found out that John Mello had literally removed Emmy, not just like taken her out of school, but removed her from the fucking Greenville County school system altogether. Caitlin's face is my face. I would have absolutely wrecked my car if I got behind the wheel. That's
I would
all I
have
could
been
think
manning a
of.
fucking plane.
Golly. So Christina immediately sends John a message that said, quote, "Please tell me anything you can about where our daughter is and how she is doing. I'm scared and I miss her so much. When am I going to be able to see her? Please." Now, Caitlin, the tone of this, is this not a little, like, weird to you? Like, she's not being like, if you do
Yeah.
not bring my daughter back, I will
Yeah.
rain hellfire. It's very like she knows that it's almost like there's a fear there that if she doesn't make him feel like he has the control, that it's going to be even worse.
Ugh.
I don't
Yeah,
like this.
I don't.
It
I
just-
find it a weird
Yeah,
response.
There's just
of,
something off.
Please, like, just I would have been, and I know everybody's different, but I would have
Mhm.
been text bombing,
Yeah.
threat after threat,
Yeah. I don't know.
like desperate.
But maybe because of what has already happened, where he got full custody the first time and was saying that she was erratic, unpredictable, blah, 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 that
That's
she's
very true.
trying to cover her ass in case this comes up again later.
That is true. If you're gonna label her erratic, this is a very level-headed response.
It's saying, please, please.
like,
It's
I'm
not,
scared. I miss her.
Yes. She's not saying anything that he could then use against her
Yeah.
later. So,
And also, she's forced to message him where
Mhm.
it is cataloged and can be used as evidence versus calling
yeah.
because your phone doesn't work.
Mm.
You know what? My phone don't work really well right now, so I can't talk too much. But I don't trust him.
No. After this, all John would say back to Christina was that Emmy was happy and healthy, that they were busy, and that this was the new setup of their life, and Christina needed to let it go. Christina did not let it go. She was frantic, understandably, and combed social media looking for any sign of where John could have taken her daughter. Eventually, John posted a photo showing they were clearly in Italy. They'd straight up moved to fucking Italy permanently. Christina then left no stone unturned. She called police, she called the FBI, and John claimed he had made the move exclusively for Emmy's safety. He said he'd spent Emmy's entire life trying to make law enforcement see how dangerous and how horrible of a human being Christina Parcell was. And no one believed him. So he took matters into his own hands literally. He took Emmy and left the country. He claimed in his interview with 2020 that he was legally well within his rights to take Emmy and never tell Christina where they were. But that's not actually true, because while John Mello did have full custody rights, Christina still had legal visitation rights, which means he did not have the legal grounds to just decide she was never allowed to see her daughter again or let her know even where she was. Somehow, Christina managed to arrange for a family court hearing in Venice through something called the Hague Convention, which is something that helps in custody battle situations and helps women. And I don't know much about it, but I know they got involved in this case. John Mello claims that Christina Parcell showed up to this family court and, quote, put on a very good show with the tears and the whole thing. And that because the court was entirely made of women, and he literally says this to the woman who's interviewing him in the 2020 episode, he's like, and you take this and what you will, but the court was made up of all women, and the mother showed up and put on a very good show with the tears and the crying and the whole thing. And because of that, he says, they permitted Christina to take Emmy back to South Carolina, basically under the clause that John Mello had violated his legal rights to Emmy, which he did. I mean, he essentially abducted her and didn't tell her mother where she was. But John Mello remained in Italy. And this is what is so interesting to me, is that if John Mello cared so much about Emmy and her safety, and it mattered so much to him, why did he just stay in Italy? Why did he not come back?
My brain is ping-ponging.
To continue the fight, to protect his precious daughter.
It doesn't make sense.
If Christina was such an evil, heinous human being, then you would not keep an ocean between you and your child. Anywho, that's besides the point. For a few days, just a few days, things were calm. Then the shit hit the fan again.
On the same day, dozens of envelopes containing pornographic photos of Christina Parcell from 10 years prior suddenly appeared out of nowhere in the mailboxes of literally everyone Christina and Bradley Post knew.
And I don't say that lightly. Her sister said these envelopes showed up in their entire immediate family's mailboxes, in Christina's coworkers' mailboxes, in the office of her attorney, police, news stations, Bradley's family, his friends, their neighbors, their entire street, their neighbors next to their homes. So many of them.
It's like the Boy Scouts came out and put the blue plastic bag on your door handle asking for food donations. Everybody got a blue bag.
Truly.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
And so these envelopes also held advertisements.
Massive air quotes.
Supposedly belonging to Christina that she was soliciting on an escort site.
So it was basically I think these envelopes were supposed to, in a fucked up way, be hey, these are the images that Christina uses to sell herself.
Yeah.
And here's her ad for this.
So at first, Christina and everyone else assumed this was another move of harassment by John Mello. The only problem was the return address of these envelopes were all from South Carolina or Tennessee, and John had never left Italy. Barely 2 months later, Christina would be stabbed 35 times. So, who done it?
I'm so sorry. That's where we're gonna pause part one.
Hey, it's okay. We said this was a two-parter.
We did.
And
y'all, I did not want this to be a two-parter, but life is lifing right now, and building a house and children in school and children being sick and all of that makes it very difficult to write a script in time. But you know what? It's gonna be okay.
It doesn't matter, because I think when Jen writes, she writes with her whole little heart and her whole little brain. and her brain is 1,000 times bigger than mine.
Her brain
And
is a
she gives us
muscle place.
juicy episodes where it's not just like something you can go on Wikipedia and read the episode. It is
No.
fully there. You're going to get all the tidbits, all the things, so that you guys can also play ping pong in your head with information and opinions and what you think.
Yeah. I always want, when we tell these stories, for it to be, like we've mentioned before, a deep dive into information and who said exactly what and when things happen on what day, because those little details matter when you are talking about murder. When
Especially this one.
Yes.
Because this one, it's not just at the end like a clear shut case. It's one that leaves you thinking and leaves you scratching your head.
Yes. So what we've done in this first part is give you all of the backstory that is so important to the crime that is going to happen right at the top of the next episode, and the ensuing, why in the hell did this happen?
Yeah.
So, yeah. Please come back and listen to part 2. It will be dropping in your feed next week. Yeah. Anything else?
You know, by the time you ask me that question, my brain is...
I know. I ask you that because that's when I feel my brain, like the battery light slowly blinking out.
Just like my phone, it's 4%. Please leave us those likes and reviews. We genuinely, truly appreciate that. The comments you guys leave. We've had bad comments, and hell, I appreciate those comments because that still means somebody listened to us and gave us the time of their thinking and thoughts. And
every comment is traffic, so we'll
any
take
breath
it.
is good breath. So please leave us any recommendations, any personal stories.
Yes.
Y'all know where to hit us up. campingiscanceled@gmail.com. We have a website, campingiscanceled.com.
Yes. You can find us pretty much anywhere.
No, Camping is Canceled. Canceled with one L.
That's right. One L.
We're, I was going to say modern English. We're just the American version of L.
I didn't even
Canceled.
know it was spelled with 2 L's, or
Nope.
it could be spelled with 2 L's.
The more you know.
The more you know. We will be back in your feed next week with part 2 and the final part of the Rose Petal murder. Like we always talk about, the world is a messed up place. So, always remember to have courage and stay kind.
Of a bitch.
Bye.
Bye.